we're going to hear from Joe Kunis. To give you a little bit of background on Joe, he's lived year-round on the Cape since 1984, has engaged in numerous occupations and activities from paperboy, laborer, medical fabricator, bank examiner, CFO, ghost youth sports writer, entrepreneur, movie extra, with some writing along the way. So we have a man of vast experience here. Roots in Marlborough, Mass, and he's also lived in Boston, Washington, New York, San Juan, Houston, and finally Cape Cod. And Joe says, where he expects to remain firmly planted, barring any climactic catastrophes. Knock on wood. Yes. The advertisement says, do you like roller coasters that don't stop when they're supposed to and then rush off on an unexpected track? Well, once upon a time, diminutive evil beings of Wampanoag legend are mysteriously transported to present-day Upper Cape by 4 13-year-old boys in a mysterious orb in the ground. I need say no more, you're intrigued. Yes. But I wanted to read you a couple of the endorsements for Joe's book. Joanne Brianna Gartner of the Enterprise said, had you suggested I read Ichwan, I would have replied that it didn't look like a novel that would interest me, but after a few pages, I found I couldn't put it down. The book is action-packed, gruesome in more than a few places, but laugh-out-loud funny in others. For me, though, as the mother of 4 sons, I think I was drawn to Mr. Kunis's 4 young protagonists. They're well-defined, likable, and easy to root for. You want to know what happens to them.
Okay, I had oral cancer in 2017, so I have trouble talking, so I might not pick up on everything. First of all, I'm a storyteller. I like to entertain. I want to make you laugh, cry, be scared, or just say, ooh. Favorite authors of mine were Douglas Adams and Stephen King, of course. Others that I really like are Tolkien, Vonnegut, Cece, Heller, McMurtry, Lehane, and Hyacinth. So these are my influences. Now I wrote in high school, and back then I liked Edgar Allan Poe. My creative writing teacher, Sister St. James, gave me A's and encouragement. I couldn't horrify her. She seemed to get a kick out of my macabre humor. This is a nun. Back here I became the controller and ultimately the chief operating officer in New Seabury. They liked my writing style and they asked me to write the history of the project and give a history of the area for their 25th anniversary magazine. In doing that, I found this book called The Narrow Land. It was written in 1934 by Elizabeth Renyard. Part of it chronicles Wampanoag legends, which she learned from a Chief Wixon at the time. She also spoke of legends such as the Screecham Sisters, Witch Pond, Sam Bellamy, and through her I found Puckwudgies. And at the time I said, what if I could bring those to the present day? From 2015 to 2016, I solicited literary agents. I figured I'd be an amateur trying to cut deals with a publisher. With the agents, though, I found I was a flea on a dog with 1,000 other fleas. And I had no marketing skills. In early 2017, I had stage 4 oral cancer. After 9 months of surgery, radiation, chemo, and recovery, I decided I better get the show on the road before the show is over. So I looked into self-publishing. I knew nothing about it, never intended on doing it, but the Sandwich Arts Alliance had an event with this guy, Michael Grossman of Ebook Bakery. I had found the Rosetta Stone. He made everything clear. So now I had a book on Amazon. But nobody knew, except for a small circle of friends. So off to marketing 101, a new job. I built a website on Wix and established an author page on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm also on Pinterest. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing now. I flip things up and see what happens. I'm also on LinkedIn as an author now, not as a CFO or Chief Operating Officer. I'm an author. Everybody is so serious there. And I'm sitting there goofing around, putting up these silly posts in my phone. So what did all that get me? Not much. Yeah. Now, and I also have it on Amazon, an extended distribution, which lists it in Ingram, which means bookstores can get it. But don't expect bookstores to carry it. If you're an independent author, unless you're known or you're local, your book's not going to be on the shelf. There are over 17 million books on Amazon. Take-Homes has 14,000 titles on their shelf. 17 million, 14,000. So I have to find my own way to get the book read. Hopefully, when people read it, a pyramid effect will happen, and they'll tell somebody, and they'll tell somebody, etc., etc., etc. So, to that end, I'm going to offer my $16 book to you guys for $10. And because the book is a blast, and if you read it, you will tell your friends. And then we'll have a movement. And if you don't want to buy it, the book is in the Sandwich Library, Sturgis Library, the Boston Library, and soon to be the Cambridge Library. Okay. Now, Christy volunteered to do a reading for me. So, if this book were a movie, it would be rated PG-13 for strong language and violent scenes. But the language is no stronger than Kurt Vonnegut is. So, Christy?
Okay. Brett Simons noticed it driving his BMW to the tennis courts. Wow. He better call Vern. Where the hell was Vern anyway? Vern might be dead for all he knew. They hadn't talked for 20 years to the day, 4 years after Timmy and Vern's brother Amos disappeared. Those early years after the disappearance, Timmy's brother Colin continually sent his cronies from Southie to the Cape trying to get a line on Vern. Knowing Colin, the snooping wouldn't end until he found Timmy. Timmy and Amos could be anywhere thanks to that damn hole in the ground. Brett saw that road being cleared into the woods would eventually pass right over it. It was bound to be discovered. Just what they did not want to happen. And then he wondered about the other 4. Wasn't this the day it happened back then? Vernon Otis heard about the proposed development at Witch Pond from a friend at the DPW. Since then, he'd been spending more nights at Poor Henry's pub, wondering if he should call Brett Simons after 20 years. He didn't know what to do. Amos always knew what to do, but Amos hadn't been here for a long time. Amos, you were supposed to be back for supper after closing that Pandora's box we opened. To David Bateman, the road signified the development of 50 virgin acres, and that meant work. He worked for Arsenal Tree Service, which had been awarded the contract to clear and grub some 3 acres to the northeast of the pond, which would soon be Witch Pond condominiums. However, as he drove, his mind wandered about the voice.
This is chapter 19 she's talking to now.
Okay.
And this is where Vern is talking now, thinking.
So, a friend? Brett wasn't married, or maybe wifey was back up in Concord or wherever the kids were ready to start school. No, that didn't figure. That girl would be letting the answering machine pick up if there was a Mrs. Simons. No, Brett hadn't considered marriage for the same reason he hadn't. It'd be tough to hide the stuff they'd seen and been through for someone that close. It would come out in a moment of weakness, drunkenness, or self-pity. Quote, "Yep, lost my brother and one of my best friends in a hole in the ground with a time machine in it. They'll be coming back, though. That's why I got off into the woods every August, so I can open the trap door if they give the secret knock. Been in the hole myself. Yep, brought back some mystical creatures from hell, too. That's why they went back in, to save the world. Now, you can't tell anyone. Don't want the government getting their hands on this thing. They're crazy, you know. Probably try and change history. No, it was easier and safer to go through life alone. Less chance of being committed because of committing." Are we intrigued? Yes. Who's Vern? So, do you have more you want to add?
Just a little bit.
Okay, and then we'll take questions.
Okay, this is Pomerant. He's the leader of the other 4 Brett is talking about. He's not really green. He's in the orb, which is the time machine in the ground, that damn hole in the ground Brett refers to. And it casts a yellow greenish hue. That's why it looks like that. Pomerant is a puckwudgie. Wampanoag mothers warn their children not to stray, or the puckwudgies will get you. I didn't make that up either. There once was a children's book that portrayed puckwudgies as cute, impish little creatures who did naughty things. Chief Whitson says otherwise. They snatched babies, fed them to crows, they murdered the beloved giant Marshop's sons, and they like poison. And best of all, they live right here on Cape Cod. Usually in marshes. Sort of like that.
We can leave now, right?
Then there's also Amos and Vern, who are Wampanoag Townie twins. They live in Mashpee year-round. Timmy's from South Boston. He summers on the Cape. In Pompanesett, they have a small cottage. And Brett was a very rich wasp from Concord, and they have a lavish house in New Seaburg. Now these 4 13-year-olds find each other. And they're 4 13-year-olds who recently discovered expletives and wear them out. But you grow to love them. Now Chrissy gave you the gist of the story, but the story also includes a golf shot of a lifetime, a sunrise fishing charter, an alleged witch, Bill Cosby, Rockefeller Center, a shillelagh and a slingshot, Junior Southie Monsters, pro football, Sam Bellamy, and of course, Mom, Blueberry Pie, and the girl he left behind. Oh yes, I mentioned there's a 5th protagonist. Now, my surgeon said that you should be seeing this as a TV show or a movie. I think that's going to happen. What's the genre? I don't know. Horror, humor, romance, thriller, suspense, yes to all. Literary classic? No. Fun? Definitely. All right, remember the warm fuzzy feeling you got when you were a kid? When your parents agreed to read you a story at bedtime? When you grow up, nobody reads them to you anymore. So you gotta find them yourself. Each one is a bedtime story for grown-ups. Now I have cards on a table with my info on it. You can see you can go to my website and see what I did there. See Facebook, Instagram, even Pinterest. I don't know what.
Whatever.
But, oh yeah, if your cars are parked out back by the marsh, be alert. Park what you see you before you see them. And if you see them, it's too late. Thank you very much.
Well, we've been treated to storytellers. Superb here. Thank you both so much. Interesting, they both used legend.
Yeah.
Yes. So how about questions for the... Other questions, Jana?
Joe, where did you find your illustrator for your cover?
My nephew,
His name, address?
Peter Kunis, he's in Denver, Colorado. He teaches art to kids in the public school system. He's been published in Forbes. He's done covers for Forbes, golf magazines, books, etc. So that's my nephew Pete. And there's a whole section of about him on my website and how he came up with a cover between him being in Denver, me in Boston, communicating back and forth. He was busy, I was busy, we're commuting back and forth, trying to get an idea. I told him what I wanted. He came up with this, which wasn't what I wanted, but I said, holy crap. That's neat.
So, other questions? Yes?
So what was your greatest challenge through the whole process?
I'll tell you what, the hardest thing is trying to write letters to the literary agents to grab their attention with 10 pages as a sample of what you've written. You know, and you have no history. So, what's your experience? Well, I did local sports stories for the Sandwich Enterprise. You know, so that selling for me is the hardest. You know, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Even when you know what you're doing, it's hard.
Yeah.
So you just sit there and you throw something up and see if it sticks. Throw something else up, see if it sticks.
Who identifies with this process? All hands? So I think that's about it. This has been fabulous. Thank you both so much, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.